Most people who visit Lisbon never see this version because they are looking at the city like it's a souvenir shop. Every old city like Lisbon has a surface and a subconscious. In Lisbon, the subconscious is where its real culture lives. My name is Mu. I'm a brand builder and film producer, helping founders compound brand value. And I have been building my Lisbon diary archive for years because I am in love with this city. It reminds me of my teenage days in old Istanbul, back when culture was sacred and being human wasn't just a slogan. Lisbon is one of the last European cities where identity still exists. Hidden magnificent art history, weird textures, local restaurants, unfinished stories, new startups and brands, a city that is still becoming. If you came here for landmarks or postcards, this isn't your episode. This film is a slow burn of moments, part diary, part abstract, film with love for a city that gives me life. What happens next will change the way you look at the Lisboa brand.
Lisboa, vocês estão a curtir aqui a party or no? Come on, boys, let's fuck that shit up. That's how they want it.
I just get the plain one without any flavouring in it. It's just one of them mussel.
And we were in like Catholic school uniforms, and this band was playing called Black Flag and it was like Henry Rollins was like, we had no idea who he was.
você é um poema passageiro, mais bonita, mais cheia de amor.